Hello everybody and welcome to Ask the CEO with Avrohom. Today I'd like to introduce a very special guest. He is the founder and CEO of Cloudticity, a company that helps healthcare organizations innovate fast on the cloud while staying HIPAA compliant. As part of this discussion, we will share how their partnership with Microsoft, their use of Azure and the Azure Marketplace have empowered them to scale and grow their business. It is my pleasure to welcome Gerry Miller. Welcome, Gerry.
Thanks very much. It's great to be here.
Oh, it's great having you. I love that background behind you. You look like a mad scientist.
Yeah, my team tells me I haven't had a haircut, obviously, during the pandemic lockdown. So if I'm going to look like a mad scientist, I may as well have the background.
Exactly. You're going to laugh, but I literally gave myself a haircut this past Thursday.
I haven't been so brave yet.
I had a head start, right? So it wasn't far. Awesome. Well, talking about pandemics and healthcare. So, Gerry, the healthcare industry is in the midst of its digital transformation with many companies moving their mission critical applications to the cloud. What are some of the challenges that healthcare organizations face when starting out on their journey to innovate on the cloud?
So that's a great question. The move toward cloud has been happening in healthcare for a good part of the last decade. It started being driven by regulatory changes. The HITECH Act mandated the digitization of health records. The Affordable Care Act really changed the way that insurance companies work. There was a proliferation of data from wearables, Fitbits, implantables, and that sort of thing. So digitization has been going on for quite some time. The only viable way to consume, store, and process such quantities of data is really cloud. So that's been happening for a while. The pandemic has really driven the acceleration of that with work at home and the extra strain on the healthcare industry in particular. But working in the cloud is very different from working in a data center. The degree of agility, the ability to very quickly spin up resources and spin down resources really forces companies to think differently. And it's grasping the difference between traditional data center deployments and the way that you can work effectively in the cloud. It's really the primary challenge for most organizations that are making that move for the first time.
Yeah, talking about healthcare in the cloud, as you know, healthcare is one of the most regulated industries in the United States with regards to security and compliance around data privacy. It's also the most at risk and vulnerable to data breaches and ransomware attacks. I saw a statistic where healthcare data sells in a black market for $250 a record as opposed to a little over $5 for something as relatively innocuous as a credit card data. So, that tells you something right there. How do healthcare organizations deal with this kind of security risk when going to the cloud?
That's a great question. And you hit the nail on the head. It's two sides of a really bad coin. On the one side, you're very heavily regulated and you've got to check a lot of boxes and there's a tremendous amount of scrutiny around the regulations. And the penalties for not complying are tremendous and in fact can put many organizations out of business. And the other side of that coin is the reason there are so many regulations is because it is a very heavily attacked industry. As you mentioned, healthcare records are some of the most valuable data on the black market because they contain a wealth of information about the individual. They contain your complete name, social security, your address history, your next of kin, intimate details about your life and what you've been through. So they lend themselves toward things like blackmail all the way to fueling the opioid crisis because people can assume your identity. So we see a tremendous amount of attack on the healthcare industry. There's about a 320% year-over-year increase in attacks on healthcare organizations. About 60% of small healthcare organizations will be attacked successfully in any given year. And of those attacked, about 90% of them will be out of business as a result within the year.
That's a big number.
Yeah, so the need to address both HIPAA, HITECH, and other regulatory frameworks, as well as truly design, an almost impenetrable security fortress, is paramount across many industries, but no more so than in the healthcare industry.
Now, Cloudticity recently launched a new offering on the Microsoft Azure Marketplace called
Yeah.
Cloudticity Oxygen for Azure. Just that
Yes.
name makes me relax.
Good. That's
So,
what we intend.
yeah, so tell us about it and how it addresses some of these challenges we just discussed.
So Cloudticity Oxygen is a managed services, managed security, and managed compliance environments for healthcare organizations on Microsoft Azure. We are one of the only companies that addresses all three in one comprehensive offering. It's partially SaaS, so everything that we do is software-based, but a key distinguisher of Oxygen is that there's a team behind it. So we've got a 24/7 help desk, we've got a network operations center, a security operations center. So we use software to deliver services, but there's a reasonably large team of people behind that to make sure that our clients' environments remain secure.
That sounds really interesting. How would a company use that with Azure?
So you can launch Oxygen from the Azure Marketplace. That triggers both technical as well as human workflow. So the technical workflow is we install a lot of components into the Azure account that maintain compliance, that constantly monitor 24/7, continuous security, continuous compliance. But it also integrates with our backend help desk, with our project management solutions. We assign personnel to your organization, so you get a technical account manager, solution architect, a dedicated team of technical architects and professionals. We have bi-weekly meetings with all of our Azure clients. We do quarterly architectural reviews where we focus across 5 pillars. We focus, number one, on the increased agility that we've brought to your organization. Then we focus on security, of course, that's paramount, as we've discussed. We focus on availability. Many of the healthcare systems that we manage are mission critical and they just have to be available 24/7. We focus on performance. And finally, we focus on cost optimization. We make sure that we continue to drive those Azure bills down while maintaining adequate levels of security, availability, and performance.
Wow. I mean, this sounds like something that any company would want to take advantage of. I would love to hear a customer use case. Do you have any stories to share?
Yeah, so we're working with one of the largest system integrators in the world. They have an on-premises system deployed that provides a healthcare cloud to their customers, which are primarily government health agencies. And what they found is that the on-premises installation is not scalable effectively. It doesn't address the ability to quickly onboard, for example, a new client because they have to go buy a bunch of new hardware and they've got to wait for it to arrive and they've got to rack it and stack it and burn it in. And, they don't scale up and down very well. So that's been a real challenge in their ability both to maintain day-to-day operations as well as to continue to grow. So as we migrate them to Azure, many of these problems go away. We're able to dynamically provision new infrastructure. We're able to quickly scale up and scale down as necessary. And their business agility and ability to create new business and bring on new clients has increased tremendously as a result.
And I'm sure when it comes to things like security, as well as remaining up to date with software patches and hardware updates, that also is part of cloud. And that's yet another thing that they don't have to do.
That's correct. Cloud offers a shared responsibility model. So many things that are data center related, we can now relegate to Microsoft and their Azure team, which is great. So we don't have to think about hardware. We don't have to think about things like hard drive failures and network card failures. And so the ability to just remove hardware from the equation brings tremendous benefits. There are customer responsibilities. You're still responsible to patch your own operating systems, for example, which are those types of things are primarily managed automatically by Cloudticity Oxygen. So when it comes to our end customer, they don't really have to worry about anything from hardware all the way down through the maintenance of the operating system, which lets them focus on sort of the superpower that they bring to the market, which is their application stack, without having to divert valuable resources to those things that in the end are undifferentiated heavy lifting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that sounds amazing. How can customers find out more about the Cloudticity solution and procure it through the Azure Marketplace?
So our website is cloudticity.com. It's, we're accessible 24/7. They can send email to info@cloudticity.com. And we tend to respond exceptionally quickly. So if anybody is interested in learning more, please do visit us and we'd love to have a conversation with you.
And how do people access the transactable offer on the Azure Marketplace?
Yeah, we'd love to have anybody that's interested come visit us. I believe that there's a bit.ly link up on the screen right now. So anybody's welcome to visit that, and that'll take you directly to the Cloudticity Oxygen marketplace offering on Azure Marketplace.
Great, and we're going to post that in the show notes as well, so we don't have to memorize that or write it off the screen. And for those that are listening on the audio, you don't have to stop the car and write it down. You just...
Please.
Well, we're hoping that you pull over, right?
Yes.
So, Gerry, how has partnering with Microsoft helped Cloudticity scale and grow your business?
Oh, Microsoft's a fantastic partner. In fact, this is the second company that I've built as a Microsoft partner. And both times it's been a tremendous experience. Their vertical focus in healthcare has been tremendously helpful with us because we're expanding internationally. Their global footprint has been incredibly helpful. They've got a fantastic partner team that partners directly with our sales team. We do joint sales calls together. They bring the appropriate solution architects to the table when we need it. They've got, access to MCS, Microsoft Consulting Services resources as necessary. So we really view this as a partnership. This is not something one-sided where we expect them to just give. It's a fantastic partnership where we identify joint opportunities, we pursue them together, we jointly design effective solutions, because in the end, the customers are both Cloudticity as well as Microsoft Azure customers. And so, sitting on the same side of the table with our partner Microsoft has been a tremendously effective vehicle for growth at Cloudticity.
That's awesome. And how can people find out more about Microsoft partnership opportunities for healthcare partners?
So Microsoft is really focused on the healthcare industry experience, and they've created an email alias. It's HealthcareIndExp @Microsoft.com.
Awesome. And how do people connect with you?
You can send an email to info@cloudticity.com, or you can visit our website, cloudticity.com as well.
And I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Gerry, do you have any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, thanks again for spending time listening to this podcast and watching it. We know that healthcare is a critically important national resource, no more so than at this time of national crisis. The healthcare industry is driven to help people live better lives, to help people who are sick get healthier, to help people who are healthy stay that way. Data is incredibly important to that mission, and the cloud is the best enabler for being able to do what healthcare does best. So we're happy to be a part of that story, and if you're interested in working with us, we'd love to talk to you.
Gerry, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you so much. It's been great to be here.